Okay, we're back again, and we're going to talk about our budget. And before we get into this budget, we did have a discussion about the Harrisburg Fire Department and the new facility that they were talking about. And Mayor Hagler is here to please come up and join us. And he wanted to give us an update on their plans and how things are going. And we appreciate you coming up today. If you'll introduce everybody you have with you.
Thank you so much, Madam Chairwoman and County Commissioners and County staff. We appreciate the opportunity that you've given us to speak and give you an update on our Harrisburg Fire Department projects. We also appreciate everything that you do for the county and our residents, and partnering together, we appreciate that. I'd like to introduce, I did bring along with me Mike Rose, our town administrator.
Hello.
And also Brian Dunn, our chief of our fire department. And what we'd like to do is we'd like to give you a general update of our fire station number 3 and its progression. Now, the location was a key and is a key for the fire station number 3. And just like location is a key for any school buildings that you may build, you want to make sure that it's the right location, it's the right place. So what the council did early on was we commissioned an outside company to do a study, complete a study, and take a look at the location of fire station number 3 to make sure that we were maximizing the efficiencies of the fire department. We just didn't want to build a building just to build a building. We want to make sure that it was strategically placed in a key location, that it could service the whole district, not necessarily in the town limits, but also outside the town limits as well. So what we did is we had that study was just completed last week, and we just gotten that back, and it confirmed that the location that we had previously targeted was the actual best location. And that makes the council, and the council hadn't really got that report yet. We just got it Friday, so I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that, and ladies knew that we did get that back, and we'll be presenting that to council as well. For more detailed or any technical information, I can defer to our town administrator and our fire chief if you have any questions that you would like to give us. But we're still on board. Don't think that we've forgotten about the project, but you know this is a key expansion for us in the fire department. And we've been talking about this Station 3 for probably about 7 or 8 years now, and the need for that with looking into the future. So we appreciate your assistance, and if now we'll entertain any questions, or Mike or Brian can chime in at any time.
What's the general timeline that you have? I mean, now that you've identified, I know you just got the report, when do you project that you would be going out to bid, or any of those details?
And the details? We've actually put out RFPs for both the architectural and the general contracting fee, even prior to the completion of the study. So we've already gotten those in. I would anticipate once that we get this report in front of council and we finalize that site, that we'll move pretty quickly into going ahead and choosing that architect or the GC firm. My hope is that we can do something as early as the fall, and as we get a final timeline, we would certainly get that back to Mike and your staff so that you all are aware of it. I'm always concerned a little bit about the process when we're finalizing any potential issues, and getting closer to the winter if there are some issues as far as building. So at worst case scenario, I would see us breaking ground in the spring, but I'm certainly hopeful now that with the completion of this study, which actually took a look not only at the fire station location, but other ways that we can look at improving our ISO ratings and our long-term fire services throughout there. So we'll be looking at all that, but we're anxious and ready to get moving as quickly as we can.
Commissioners, questions, comments?
We had raised the tax rate, or we agreed to raise the tax rate to build this building. And we're 12 months past the raise in the tax rate. How much money have y'all set aside to pay towards this building?
Well, what we originally did in this bid, we did two things. One is we adopted the capital project fund in this current budget year for a 2-year period that had a total of, I think, $1.2 million towards the building of this. What we budgeted in this fiscal year was for the debt service of the building in this first year. Which we've obviously didn't have to spend since we haven't started building it, and have put that money aside towards the debt service and the payment of this building. The exact amount, I apologize, I don't know what that is, but I can certainly get that for you.
And going forward, what is the plans with the monies that you have set? Are you going to set aside the same amount of monies going up to before the dirt starts getting thrown?
Yes, sir. We've, actually, in this current budget that we'll have public hearing for next Monday, a week from today, within that budget includes that debt service for that. We also utilize, again, that fund for other issues that we see that will improve our fire service. We've got a new fire engine that's already been approved and is actually under construction. Do you know what date we're?
Probably be delivered sometime in September
Yep.
of this year.
So again, all of these things that we accumulate as part of that tax rate is we're hoping to increase and improve the fire service throughout our entire district.
So you're anticipating this building costing $1.2 million?
That's our current estimate, yes, sir.
Okay. I would like to know how much you've set aside towards it, because it was a sizable increase in the tax rate. And if we're talking about not breaking ground, or the ground's not going to be broken until spring of next year, then either we need to reduce that tax rate until that building's going to get started, or we just need to be able to address that there should be a sizable amount of money that's going to be that is already set aside to pay for this building.
I'll be happy to get that information to you all.
That's all the questions I have.
Any other questions? How long do you think construction would take once you break ground? Is it 12 months, 18 months, 6?
I'm not, for this type of facility, and I hate to say it because I'm not a general contractor.
We're not going to hold you to it.
But I would assume, we're talking about maybe a 9-month period, is what they quoted? for?
Yeah, I think original estimates were 8 months, but that was good weather.
Well, we're going to hope we don't have too many more days like yesterday or last night when you're under construction, so. Yes, sir.
So with the new building, will we demolish the one that's there, or is it just going to upfit? How's that? Because you said it's going to be the same location, so.
Well, the location we're talking about was a site that we had previously already
I see.
have in
Okay.
in ownership. It's a different location from Station 1 and Station
I see.
2.
Okay,
It's at the corner of Pembroke and Rocky River Road.
okay,
So right now, it's just raw land.
okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Well, we do appreciate all of you coming out and joining us today. It's good for us to get updates.
Yeah. Anytime
And
you,
these meetings are, well, this one is, and even our budget meetings were televised. We had marathon showings on Saturday and Sunday, so we've been getting some contact about those meetings. And, again, one of the reasons we try to have people at our meetings is, obviously, we're televised and we can get the word out, so
that's great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
so much.
Any
Thank
more
you.
questions you have, just let us know.
we will. Thank you very much. Okay, Ann, we're going to come back to you now. Now you're back on the hot seat. You and Parth are back on the hot seat.
All right. You should have a handout now that says FY 13-14 budget changes. And the first item, it starts with where we were when we originally presented the budget. And then the first item, in terms of a change, it relates to the Kannapolis City School, and it was $31,000. Remember, when we took the school nurses out, there was a certain amount that needed to balance. Well, once we've done some changes, that number is now $25,450, but that's what that relates to. Then we have the supplements. Both school systems submitted new supplement numbers to us recently to include the fringes on the 1.5. So that's the 21,690 and the 17,201. So that's the cost of living on the supplements, 1.5%. Then the next item is the Special Olympics, and that number is now 930. We've got the 20,000 for the EDC. The Economic Services, which was that position that we requested be reinstated, and that one has revenues that come with it. We have the 3 people that would be receiving health insurance, and that would put them in this fiscal year instead of waiting till the next. We've got 25,792 and other personnel. When we start the budget process, we have a budget projection, And then that was started like, let's say, March. And what this does is any changes that have happened since March, it just updates that. So when we start the year, it'll be correct. Then the contribution to SMG, the arena, has been increased $33.65. And what all this does is coming out of contingency, it takes $266,270 out of the contingency. So that leaves your contingency at $1,842,000. And so we have a financial plan. Do you have the 5-year plan? Okay, Plan A. Okay.
Before you leave that one, you're at $1,842,359.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then if you notice on the next two lines, you want to talk about that 1%?
Okay. What that would be is, within the contingency, you would have $201,108 for your 1% salary raises for schools. Should the state decide to do the 1%, then that would be set aside, and we would move it out of contingency into the schools. And
That
then,
matches the state increase for locally
Right.
paid positions.
Then what's the 1.5% up top?
that relates to supplements.
That is supplements only, and that would be comparable to a cost of living for the supplement.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And
Yes.
the 918 for the
Got it,
Special
okay.
Olympics for year 2. So as you look at your 5-year plan, the only thing that's changed on the revenues is the 27,896 that would now be coming in to support that CHA position, which is in other revenues. And then the expenses, the personnel changed due to those positions. You see the healthcare reform over in fiscal 14, moved from fiscal 15. Let's see. You see these supplements, I put those two together, and that was 138,891, which is your 21,690 and your 117,201. We've got the Kannapolis 25,450, the Special Olympics 930. What's in here is the increase we had discussed originally about the Health Alliance, the 9 days, the supervisor, the original amount. I adjusted the arena contribution down, up by 3,300. The EDC is there. So that way, the change in contingencies, $1,627,000. That's the change in it. It had 200,000 to start with, so it went to $1,842,000.
This keeps the tax rate at the same rate that it's currently at,
Yes, ma'am.
projected out for the next 5 years.
Correct.
There would be no
changes
change
to
in the tax rate.
rate.
Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments about it? Again, those two bottom numbers that says 1% salary for schools and then Special Olympics, that's also the 1% for that position. If it comes in that the state does the 1% raise, if the House puts the 1% back in, then we would cover that, and because Special Olympics is a contract position, kind of falls outside of those normal boundaries, that's why that one's listed separately.
It doesn't go into that ADM calculation that we have to be so careful that
Right,
it
it's a
stays the
different one,
same.
so that's why that's listed separately as Special Olympics.
So still, your contingency fund is still at, after these changes, and with the potential change to match the school salaries. Well, but prior to that, you would have $1.842 million in your contingency that you still have some flexibility with. If we do have to match, if the schools, or the state moves forward with their 1% increase, and you match that as well, then you would still have a remaining 1.6 million. That would be at your disposal to, should you elect to fund any additional programs.
And you have new budget summary sheets which tie to this plan. Okay. and they are highlighted. Anything that changed is highlighted on the new budget sheets for revenues and expenses.
Okay, so, and those sheets, you have the actual from last year, the amended so far for this year, and the manager's suggested budget for next year. So those are those three columns to look at. So, does anybody, is there anything else that anybody wants to add, change, amend at this time, or is it, we, of course, won't approve a budget for till 2 weeks. We have plenty of time to look over it and see if there's any suggestions that you have, you know, in the next week that you need to get back to Ann or get back to Mike and for any other changes. Since we just got this, it's a lot to look at immediately.
And we have new jump drives for each of you with the,
Each of the documents that you see are all on the jump drive,
Okay.
as well as the question and answers.
It's the quietest this group's ever been, and everybody's actually is studying the spreadsheets. The next thing we have on our agenda is to approve the agenda for our meeting in 2 weeks. If there's no other budget comments at this time. If you'll look at that, I would recommend number one under, no, not number one.
4.1?
Yeah, I gotta find it under the, number 4. Number 4 under consent, which is the QSCB reallocation request, to move that down to number 4 under new business. Since we wanted to wait and hear from what the school board does today. If you'll look over the, other than that change, if you'll look over the agenda and see if there's anything else that you would like to have moved on to new business from consent.
I was thinking that the number 4.7, the finance health insurance, which is the corresponding consent agenda item F6. I thought there was some information that may change, that we may not have that information beforehand.
I'm sorry, that will be for FY14's budget. Next year's budget,
Yes, ma'am?
I've got to make some adjustments to what you've been given in your budget document for FY14. I don't have it. I just got the information this afternoon.
Okay.
That one's fixing 13.
So F6 is the current budget
yes.
amendment.
But we
Not-
don't have the current information for F6, or the information that was presented today is current for FY13.
The information presented today is current for 13. I've got to give you some new information for 14.
And in regards to the new information, that is not on our decision to make, that is not on our plate to make a decision for June the 17th.
It will be
It
as
may
part of the budget.
it may adjust
but
your
not as
budget
part of the
ordinance for
consent.
the
Okay.
17th.
So we're okay with the information that was presented today as it relates to what we have to vote for on the consent agenda. Yes.
Correct, but we may give you a new health insurance fund for 14 to adopt by rearranging some of the expenditures
Okay.
based on how people signed up for their health insurance plan.
Okay, so if there's nothing else to be pulled off of consent, again, I would move F4 down to G4 and would accept a motion that we approve the regular meeting agenda
1
with
minute.
that one change. Yes,
We do not have the Carolina International School that I see on here for their public hearing that we have to have. Sorry.
good catch. Carolina International School that we amended. We won't add that.
So that would be, I would prefer, if nobody objects, they don't need to be sitting around till after we have our budget. Sure. If that can be moved up somewhere above our adoption of the budget.
Well, that
And
would
also,
then we can move 4 up to 3,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
so
just-
you want to make number 1 will be Carolina International School?
That's fine. Or I don't want to inconvenience others, but yes, I would think that would be appropriate.
And then number 2 will now be Emergency Management.
Correct.
Number 3 will be the Health Human Services Agency.
Or if you want to put the school as number 3.
I don't, they're all
F3.
public hearings, so I don't think they'll take
Okay. that's
too
fine.
long for any of them. Number 4 will then be the QSCB, and number 5 will be the budget.
Correct. That's how I see it.
Okay. Is that good with everybody? Good catch. Okay. If there are no other changes, I would accept a motion that we approve the regular meeting agenda with the changes that have been mentioned.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We do have need for a closed session tonight, Commissioners. So if there are no other comments or questions that you have for Ann or Parth, I would accept a motion to go into closed session.
To discuss pending litigation and
Yeah, I was trying to
negotiate.
find my numbers. And/or sale of real estate as authorized by NC General Statute 143, 318, 11A3 and 5.
So moved. We need to invite Rich in, don't we?
Yeah, Rich and I will be in there. Jonathan, you don't need to, no, so we're good. We're good.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Mr. Burr, Commissioner Burr.
Commissioner Burridge, okay, sorry. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And we will convene in closed session. We'll go down the hallway. Thank you all very much.